It's the Dep Lewis Show. The Dep Lewis Show. It's the Dep Lewis Show. It's the Dep Lewis Show. The Dep Lewis Show. It's the Dep Lewis Show. It's the Dep Lewis Show. The Dep Lewis Show. It's the Dep Lewis Show. Welcome to the Dep Lewis Show, episode 109. This is your host, Dep Lewis, and today is Sunday, December 29th, 2024. A great day for a podcast about video games and more. And it is the last time I'm going to be able to say that particular rhyme, because this is the final episode of 2024. Can you believe it? 2024 has come to an end. This is the final weekend. The new year rings in next week. And you know what that means. Today is the third annual Dep Lewis Show Awards. I'm going to tell you what the best video game of the year is among some other categories. It's going to be a celebration of the year. I'm going to tell you about all the cool things that I thought about this year and that I interacted with and want you to hear about some more. So that is the plan today, the Dep Lewis Show Awards for 2024. So going to be somewhat, it's going to be an exciting episode, but there's going to be some regular stuff in here as well. So the first order of business is to ask you to follow Dep Lewis Show everywhere. Full episodes of Dep Lewis Show available anywhere you can find a podcast. Find the best place to subscribe and listen weekly. Places like Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google, YouTube, Amazon Music, and more. Twitch.tv/DepLewisShow is a great place to follow. If you'd like to support the show even further than just listening, Patreon.com/DepLewisShow is available if you'd like to subscribe monthly. Also, Venmo at DepLewisShow is available any day, anytime, for any amount if you would like to support the show. So for today's show, we're going to have our three sections as always, but there's going to be a little bit of a mix in there with the Dep Lewis Show Awards. The first section, I will still tell you about what video games I've been playing in the last week, tell you about what's going on with me and my gaming plans and all that kind of stuff. And the mid-section, which is definitely not mid in quality this week, is going to be the Dep Lewis Show Awards for 2024. So there are a total of 5 categories, ending in what is the best video game of the year. So that is what to look forward to in the mid-section, something I have been working towards all year and really, really excited to bring to you and present to you today on the Dep Lewis Show, episode 109, the Dep Lewis Show Awards for 2024, the third annual Dep Lewis Show Awards. So it's very, very exciting and going to be a great episode. And then the final section, like always, the Miscellaneous Talk section, is where I can talk about anything I want to outside the video game world. So we will get into the worldwide world of sports, as I always like to do, and tell you about what's going on with my favorite teams and maybe give them a year-end shout-out. So a regular episode with the Dep Lewis Show Awards 2024 in the middle. So that is what's going on today. So I hope you're doing great out there in the world. Thank you for being here as always. Hope you had a wonderful holiday and hopefully some time off work, and hopefully you ate something good and had some fun, got to see some friends and family and all that kind of stuff, and played some video games. That's what we're here to talk about. So let's get into it. Let's start this episode. So what have I been playing? This section is going to be short and sweet. We want to get to the middle section of the show this week, but I want to tell you what's going on. So what have I been playing? The main thing I've been playing this week, I guess it's been more in the second half of the week I've been playing some video games, but I am playing Paper Mario, the 1,000-Year Door. So I've started this file again. I was maybe a couple hours in, just started a new file and starting from the beginning. So no real reason why I've started to pick this up again, but I really like this game. I'm enjoying it so far. I'm getting a huge nostalgia blast. I played Paper Mario when it originally came out, maybe for 20 hours or something like that, maybe a little bit more, and really, really liked it, but I just have a bad history of not completing games. So this is going to be going into my rotation. It's been the year of the RPG on the Dep Lewis Show. This is still fitting in that vein and something I would like to play some more of. So I'm probably a couple hours in. I've been taking it slow, and I've gotten to the first world. So I've done some things in the first world, the castle and the dragon. I've done all the prologue, first intro, Rogueport City stuff, which is fun. Learn the combat. You can skip some of the tutorials, which is nice, and that's kind of what I learned from playing it restarting it the second time. The characters in this game are great. It has some great humor in the game and some cool stuff going on. So Paper Mario, the 1,000-Year Door, as I'm playing this, I'm really, really enjoying it, and something that I hope I can continue to play. I'm still trying to get my plans together for the new year with which direction I'm going to go to focus on, but this is what I decided to play this week, and I've been having fun playing it. So in the same vein, I keep saying the same vein today. I need to quit that. I started a new file in Super Mario Sunshine. So I'm playing some GameCube games here. Maybe I'll play some Metroid Prime. Maybe I'll play some, Pikmin 2, I guess, is on the GameCube. Maybe I'll start just going really, really hard on the GameCube. But I started a new file in Super Mario Sunshine. Now, this is some of the coolest Mario style around. Even when he jumps into the paintings like you do in Super Mario 64, he jumps into the the paint in this game. He turns all to little pixelated dots and kind of jumps in there. So it's, or not pixelated dots, but little tiny dots. And then he like reanimates. So it's just really cool looking. This game has a great style. The island flavor is really, really cool. And having the jetpack is interesting. So it can do two different things. It can shoot the water out, or it can shoot you up in the air. And I think it adds an interesting element to the platforming. And I guess now I think about it, Mario does like to have a nice, not like a gimmick, or I guess it could be called a gimmick, but Mario Odyssey, he has his hat. In this one, he has his water gun. I can't think of what it's called right now, but I guess that's, pretty equivalent to the hat in this game. So Mario Sunshine, something else I'd like to play through, never completed. Played a lot of it back in the day, so having a little bit of GameCube nostalgia over here for my week. So I think I'm going to continue down some of that track as I go. So that's really what I've been playing. I haven't played a ton. I've mainly been playing some Paper Mario, restarting that and getting my feet wet in that game again, trying to remember the mechanics and things like that. So and then booted up some Super Mario Sunshine for a little bit of a palate cleanser and get into some platforming. So that's mainly what I've been playing. I could see myself playing those games in the upcoming week, and that's really what I've been playing. So had a couple game pickups this week. I went to a cool video game store around me, actually a couple times this week. I went earlier in the week, then went once this weekend, and I picked up some older games. I picked up The Elder Scrolls Oblivion on Xbox 360, Dark Souls on Xbox 360, and then yesterday when I went, I picked up Final Fantasy 15 and Final Fantasy 10, 10-2 HD Remaster. So pretty cool stuff there, all very inexpensive. So that's something I've been learning about these games. If you want to pick up some 360 or PS4 games, a lot of these you can get for under $10 or just a little bit over. So it's a fun way to pick up some old games and have them around if you want to play them. So I don't have a ton of games, like physical games in my collection, but I've been trying to buy a few more just to have some cool options of games that I think are pretty classic or lifelong kind of staples and just cool games to have around. And they're pretty inexpensive. You can get a nice looking. A lot of these used games are still in great condition, so you can get brand new looking games. They might have a sticker on them that you can remove, but other than that, these games look in pretty great condition, and it's fun to have. And I played some Dark Souls, started playing that and having some fun with that, and got me back into Elden Ring a little bit. So you can kind of see why I do some video game jumping around here. I like trying out a bunch of different things, but it doesn't always result in finishing video games. So that is the crux, or if you want to say I have a video game dilemma, that would be it. So it's not really that much of a dilemma. And then I also got the Uncharted Legacy of Thieves collection. So that's something that I ordered from Best Buy. It was on sale, and it took a little while to ship, but it finally got here. Uncharted 4 is something I've never completed. I've completed 1, 2, and 3. I love those games a whole lot, and I've started Uncharted 4 a couple times. So maybe whatever next time my next try is, I will actually complete Uncharted. So that is the plan over here. So I have some games in the backlog that are really looking me in the eyes and saying, hey, we're pretty cool. Come try me out sometime. Maybe complete me sometime. So played a couple games, picked up a couple games. Pretty great video game week for me in general. And that's been about it for my personal video gaming. But it's been the year of the RPG on the Dep Lewis Show. So that's been a whole year of focusing on a genre. Last year was survival horror. This year has been RPG. Next year, I am not quite sure what it's going to be. I've floated a few different things out there over the last couple weeks of the podcast, and I'm going to unveil what the year is going to be next week on next week's episode. So if I decide, maybe I'll decide there won't be a year of anything. It's just going to be a year of doing the podcast, and that is a possibility as well. But there are a few other options out there, so I will tell you next week with the first episode of the new year, of what the year of the blank is going to be on the Dep Lewis Show. So that's everything I've been playing. We're going to wrap up this first section so we can get to the midsection, which is what everyone is here for, which is what I am here for, the Dep Lewis Show Awards for 2024. So that's going to happen right after this music. We're going to come back from the midsection, and we're going to do the Dep Lewis Show Awards for 2024. Welcome back to the midsection of Dep Lewis Show, episode 109. This is the Dep Lewis Show Awards for 2024, the third annual Dep Lewis Show Awards. So we're going to go over some categories here, and we're going to end in what is the best video game of the year. So all these things I think are very, very cool. I'm about to tell you about. I highly recommend them. They gave me great joy during the year, and things that I've probably talked about during the course of the year, but I want to end the year highlighting them once again and giving a shout out to all the cool, entertaining things out there in the world that I think are interesting. So that's what's going on here with the Dep Lewis Show Awards. We're going to celebrate some cool stuff out there in the world. So let's get into it. All right. So the first category this year is not going to have winners or losers. They're all winners in this category. This is my favorite other podcast of the year. So I listen to a whole lot of podcasts. I've been listening to them for a long time. I've been doing this one for over 2 years, but I've listened to podcasts for I guess, I don't know, so long. I have many of them that I listen to throughout the week. A lot of them are video game podcasts, and the majority of them are video game podcasts. And so I want to tell you what's going on out there. Besides the great Dep Lewis Show, these are all other ones I would highly recommend just as much, and I want to tell you about them here on the Dep Lewis Show Awards for 2024. So favorite other podcast of the year, the first one, it's a great one to listen to on a Monday, and that is Axe of the Blood God, an RPG podcast. So this is hosted by Kat, Nadia, and Eric. I think sometimes they have other people on there, but that's the main crew. They have a Patreon as well, so please go support them if you'd like to even further. And RPGs are awesome. This has been the year of the RPG on the Dep Lewis Show. This has been a great podcast to learn about. I think I definitely started listening to this podcast this year. So it was a pretty good mashup for me with the theme of RPGs for the Dep Lewis Show for the year, and this was a great podcast all about it. But so they primarily talk about RPGs on there, but they talk about other genres as well and other video games that they play. And it's just a really, really fun episode and a great way to start a Monday. So that's Axe of the Blood God, an RPG podcast. It's a great one. Another great podcast, the Fire Escape Cast. This happens every other Monday, so twice a month you get to listen to Dan, Mike, and Mary. They have some good arguments on this show. They had a great Game of the Year content. It was a little bit earlier in December, but really, really memorable stuff. My last note I wrote about them down was they have good Paul content. So Dan Reichert, his dad is Paul. They talk about a lot of shenanigans that he does. Paul and Mike have a funny back and forth. Paul and Mary have a funny back and forth. And recent news was Paul sold his house and really didn't tell his family. And he didn't have anywhere else to live. So he's apparently living in a hotel and trying to figure out his life. And he moved because he didn't like how often his neighbors would walk by and he would have to feel like he had to talk to them. And I can relate to you, Paul, on that regard a little bit there. But Fire Escape Cast is a great podcast. They talk about video games every other Monday. Dan Reichert is on the Giant Bombcast as well, which is something I've listened to for I listened to for a long time, and sometimes nowadays, but I watch their content as well. Mary does some great stuff on Twitch. Mike's done all sorts of video gaming jobs, and I believe he has a video game day job as well. But they get together every other Monday for the Fire Escape Cast. And it's one of my favorite podcasts to pop up into my feed, especially with it being every other Monday. On the Mondays where it doesn't pop up, I am disappointed. But when it comes back, it's great. And listen to the Fire Escape Cast every other Monday. All right, one of my all-time favorite podcasts, and I guess probably my all-time favorite podcaster, is Jeff Gerstmann and the Jeff Gerstmann Show. This happens on every Tuesday, just like the Giant Bombcast of previous. Well, Giant Bombcast is still on Tuesday, but Jeff Gerstmann is the co-creator of Giant Bomb and was there for many, many moons. And I guess he was fired is what it was. I was about to say he quit, but I think he really was fired or he resigned. It was not really that amicable of an ending. I guess it was kind of amicable, but it was a quick split a couple years ago, and he started his own show, the Jeff Gerstmann Show. And that is something that's the one I was talking about. I've listened to Giant Bomb since 2006 or 5 or whenever it came out. Every week. Back in the day when there weren't as many podcasts, I would listen to the Giant Bombcast multiple times a week. We got the Giant Bomb Beastcast at one point, but back in the day, I would listen to it multiple times because you miss things sometimes when listening into a podcast. So that was kind of my inception to podcast, and it's still going today. I'm Jeff Gerstmann. He has a Patreon. He does YouTube talkover for events. He ranks the best NES games on YouTube as well. He has a lot of great videos you can go watch on YouTube, so I definitely watch a lot of his stuff there too. And he is just a great content creator. He's really cool. He's funny. He has good taste in games, and he does a great job of presenting them on the internet. And just one of the best podcasts out there, the Jeff Gerstmann Show, every Tuesday. All right, more cool podcaster. And these next one is Giant Bomb related as well. Ex-Giant Bomb people, the Nextlander podcast, every Thursday. Vinny, Brad, and Alex, previously of Giant Bomb. They also have good videos to watch on YouTube and Twitch, just like Jeff. They have a Patreon. They're doing very well over there. It's just a great mix of people. Giant Bomb, back in the day, was one of my favorite podcasts ever, and all those guys have gone on to do, their own separate things or separate groups of things, and I still follow, pretty much all of them just as much as I did Giant Bomb back in the day. So Nextlander podcast, really, really great. Vinny getting to watch some stuff around his house, and his setup is pretty cool. Alex doing his drumming. Brad just having his taste of video games, and just being a really great nerd, and just being a really cool crew of people, and still having some of that old flavor of Giant Bomb in the new modern age. So the Next Lander podcast, I'm definitely excited every Thursday to see that pop up. And then Thursday, as well, is another great show, and that is the Min-Max Show with 2 N's. So Min-Max with 2 N's for Minnesota. This one's coming to my rotation in the last couple years. I've been an avid Min-Max Show follower. This happens every Thursday. The full crew at the moment right now is Ben, Haley, Janet, Kelsey, Jacob, Kyle, Leo, Jeff, and Sarah. The great Sarah Pods. They have a Patreon as well. They do the deepest dives, which are really, really cool. So they'll get a couple of the cohorts together to all play through a video game. They'll designate a stopping point. Hey, we'll stop after 7 hours at this section or whatever it may be. And then they talk about that in the most complete depth that you could ever hope for on the internet. It's what they say. And it really is true. And it's very enjoyable. They do a lot of wacky stuff over there too. They do videos at different places. Ben and Sarah went to the mall to give Ben a makeover, and that was very interesting and cool. Sarah and Leo and Ben went to the pumpkin patch and did some pretty cool stuff out there. They fired a pumpkin cannon that shot a pumpkin for miles away and got lost in a maze a little bit, and just did some really cool stuff. So the Min-Max Show is definitely very enjoyable to watch. They put out a great variety of content, but I think the main thing that holds them down and holds me down to them as a fan is the Min-Max Show every Thursday. So they're going through their Game of the Year stuff right now. They do the 2 10s is what they do, and it's a really cool, different little bit of an interesting take. They all play tons of video games, and it's just very interesting to listen to them talk. So as they're trying to whittle down their list to 20, most of the cohorts on the crew, or a good majority of them, have a list of their own favorite 20 games of the year, and they're trying to get their games there in the mix. So they do a really good job of their year-end stuff too, and that's just something that I enjoy a whole lot. The Min-Max Show every Thursday. So this first category I'm doing is just favorite podcast of the year to listen to. No particular order, just want to highlight other podcasts that I listen to every week. The last 2 are IGN podcast. These sometimes have rotating casts, but normally have generally the same people. The first one is in Nintendo Voice Chat. Kat Bailey from the Axe of the Blood God podcast has been on the Nintendo Voice Chat a lot, and some is a rotating guest. But this one happens every Friday. Logan, Reb, Jada, Seth, Pierre, Brian, and more are kind of like the normal regulars that I could, suss out from recent episodes. Just trying to get a summary of like who's mainly on there. And then Game Scoop is another one, an IGN podcast. Normally Damon, Sam, Justin, Nick, Mark, and more. And just really, really great episodes. Nintendo Voice Chat focuses on Nintendo mainly, but they'll get into other great stuff too. He's been hosting recently. Seth is a great host. I think Seth, his wife, is going through some health trouble, so T's and P's, as they say, thoughts and prayers to Seth and his wife and family. And they're just really enjoyable podcasts. They come through on Friday, so it's a great day for me. It's like the end of the week. All my main podcasts have already been over, by Thursday. And I get a couple on Friday. One's mainly going to be talking about Nintendo, which I have a huge love for, and I really like that there's a whole podcast dedicated to Nintendo. And then Game Scoop gets more into just everything going on around the video game world, kind of like I do. But they'll do 20 questions, which is sometimes fun. They'll try to guess a video game based on 20 questions, and that is a pretty interesting take they do at the end of their podcast, and just really, really great content to enjoy. So, those are my favorite podcasts of the year for 2024. I want to tell you them once again: Axe of the Blood God, an RPG podcast; Fire Escape Cast; The Jeff Gerstmann Show; The Next Lander podcast; The Min-Max Show; Nintendo Voice Chat; and Game Scoop. All really amazing podcasts that I highly recommend you put into your weekly rotation, along with the Dep Lewis Show every Sunday. So that's the first category, my favorite podcast of the year. And my second category for the Dep Lewis Show Awards for 2024 is going to be my favorite streamers of the year. So something I kind of watch in unison, maybe listen to a podcast or watching a streamer. Those are kind of the 2 internet things I like to do, besides just watching sports or general TV or whatever it is. I guess I don't watch too much TV, but I watch a lot of sports. But these are my other 2 favorite forms of entertainment. So my favorite streamers of the year, and these are in no particular order as well. These are just people I watch on the regular that I would like to highlight that are really, really cool and amazing, and that you should check them out too. So they're going to be my favorite streamers of the year, in no particular order. The first one is Rachel K, the great streamer Rachel K, and she is somebody I've started following in the last few months. I really enjoy watching her streams. She streams most days of the week. I think she normally takes a couple days off and she'll tell you what they are going to be. But she's generally streaming most days of the week. She is in South Africa, so if you're on the east coast of the U.S., she is 6 hours ahead of us here in the U.S. So it's nice if you need something to watch during the day. It's perfect timing for that. And she plays games like Diablo, Elden Ring, Path of Exile, Indiana Jones, and The Great Circle. She just posted that playthrough on her YouTube, so she has a YouTube channel as well, so please check that out. Lord of the Rings, Power World, Witcher, and more. So very fun to watch and listen to. She has a cool accent. She's very worldly, in my opinion, so you get to hear cool things about the world. She knows a lot of different places. It seems like she's traveled a lot, so you get that take on the world. And she's also pregnant, so congratulations to her. I think she's like maybe 8 months pregnant, about to have a kid in February. So that's all the Rachel KT from the stream that she's told us. Really, really cool streamer. She's had some problems with the internet, so I will wish good internet upon Rachel K and her streams in 2025. So please go follow her on Twitch, YouTube, X, Instagram, TikTok, and join her Discord if you subscribe to her on Twitch. Really cool streamer, Rachel K. So these are all my favorite streamers of the year in no particular order. Janet Garcia is another streamer I am a big fan of. She is on the MinMax show sometimes. She has her own podcast called The Gangcast, which is a recent podcast that's been created, and that's with her and her fiance Isaiah Smith, and it's a weekly podcast. She is just a really great person to watch on Twitch, though. She's been playing Persona 5 a lot this year. She did a Mary Jacksmith where she's playing Jack and Daxter. She has her brother on there, it's fun when he's on the stream as well. I believe his name's Edwin. I'm sorry if I got that incorrect, but they do some pretty cool brother and sister streams, and then her fiance Isaiah comes on sometimes too. And Janet will wear, a funny hat or some clothes and stuff like that. She just has a great personality. She's really smart. And Game On Y Sus is her Twitch name. So Game On Y SUS. So Janet Garcia, they'll look for her. She also appears on the MinMax show. Follow her on X, Instagram, Facebook, Patreon, and TikTok. She lives in Los Angeles, and she likes sports, so you get to hear her sports takes on LA teams, which is fun. I believe she went to the World Series, or I guess she was just excited about the Dodgers. I think she went to some of the playoff games she was showing. But being a Braves fan, the Dodgers are a pretty good rivalry, so it's fun. It's cool to see a fan of them, even though I'm not the biggest fan of them. But Janet Garcia, a cool streamer. Check her out. All right, one of my all-time favorite streamers who I still watch is Sarah Podzorski. I mentioned her as well from the MinMax show. They just got all sorts of great streamers on there. She goes by Sarah Pods on social stuff. Please go check her out. She's the Fields. She wears multiple hats, as you might say, in the corporate world. She is the Fields of Mystria social media and marketing manager, and they launched that game this year in early access. So congratulations to her and that whole team. She is a MinMax show cohort. She is a Twitch partner, and she has really great streams. I think she streams on the MinMax channel once a week and streams on her own, but she has a great one to follow. She does some really good talking at the beginning of her stream. It's very enjoyable. It's like a mini podcast in itself, and you get to hear what's been going on with her. And she likes to talk a lot of trash in a funny way, and she's just really enjoyable and funny to listen to. So Sarah Podzorski, or Sarah Pods, one of my favorite all-time streamers. Started following her back in the Animal Crossing days, and she has cool taste in games and plays different things out there too, so it's fun to watch. Sarah Podzorski. All right, another streamer I really like. These are all my favorite streamers of the year for 2024. This streamer on Twitch goes under DS Koopa. His name is Cody, and please go follow him on Twitch. He's streaming from one of his game stores, Pink Gorilla Games in Seattle, Washington. It's fun to watch. So I know of Kelsey Lewin from the MinMax show, and I guess she owns one of these Pink Gorilla stores as well. She's involved with them as well. That's how I know about Pink Gorilla. I think it's a cool store to follow on the internet, and just because they're cool people that I follow on podcast or whatever, it's cool to see this. But on DS Koopa's Twitch stream, you can just see normal stuff going on around the store. So he just has a camera set up in the store. You can watch normal store stuff like sales, trade-ins, repairs. And then he also does other different things on his Twitch channel. Like I've seen him do video game hunting videos where he's driving in the car with his friends to stores around the area and looking at their video game stock. So I've been getting a little bit into the retro side of video gaming and going out and looking for physical games and things like that. I've been following a lot of channels, and I think watching Cody and his Pink Gorilla game store has maybe inspired me to do so a little bit, just because it's just something cool and it's fun to watch, and I just really enjoy video games. So it's another way to, be around some video games and in the mix with that. So DS Koopa, a really, really cool Twitch channel, something I started watching this year, I believe. But this is a really great one to just put on if you're like doing something in your house. Like if you're cleaning up your house and you just want to throw something on the TV, it's really cool because you can just kind of watch the happenings of a video game store. You might not even need to put the sound on, or you can, but it's just kind of a cool background thing, even if you are just want something on the side or that kind of thing. But DS Koopa, Cody, follow him on Twitch. The last person I'd like to highlight is somebody I guess I started kind of following this year too, is Kyle Bossman. Follow him on Twitch. He has a cool YouTube channel too where he kind of does like short form videos where he's talking about things around the video game world. And he has a Patreon. He streams a variety of games. He's someone I started following just because he streams all the time. He's really on a lot at night. So that is a great time if, if there's no sports or anything else or I'm playing games. I like to throw on and see what somebody else is doing. So Kyle Bossman, he streams a whole lot. I would just say he's really consistent from what I've determined. And he's friends with some of the other people I follow, it seems like, or internet friends with, like Dan Reichert and maybe a few other people as well. But just a cool mix there, and Kyle, or maybe and Ben Hansen, I believe too. So Kyle Bossman, a really cool person to watch on Twitch, and another one of my favorite streamers for 2024. So those are all my favorite streamers from the year in no particular order: Rachel K, Janet Garcia, Game Honest, Sarah Podzorski, Sarah Pods, DS Koopa, Cody, and Kyle Bossman. All really cool people, and I highly recommend them fully here on the Dep Lewis Show Awards for 2024. So that's been the first two categories. And now we're going to get into some categories that have, some winners and some runner-ups and things like that. So we're going to actually get down to brass tacks here. And we're going to tell you what's going on for 2024. So what is my favorite video game console of the year? This is a category I haven't done before, but I thought would be appropriate. I am fortunate to have a couple of different video game consoles to use to play different games on, to try to play exclusives or, maybe in different forms of fashion. So not all of them that I use consistently as the others. So that is why I want to tell you what my favorite video game console of the year is. So my runner-up for 2024 is going to be the Nintendo Switch. So a console that was released in 2017. A lot of people are saying this is the last year of the Nintendo Switch. The rumors and speculation all say Nintendo Switch 2 is coming out in 2025. It might even be announced in the next coming weeks. But even, in the late stages of Nintendo Switch, it's still one of my favorite consoles. It's a runner-up for 2024 to me because of the handheld gaming, because of the Nintendo exclusives. I signed up for Nintendo Switch Online plus the expansion pack in the last few months. So that's been something that's been really, really nice too. Especially, like I've been talking, I've been into retro games. So it's a way to play N64 and Game Boy Advance stuff, especially through the expansion pack that I've been enjoying. So that's been something that's been keeping me on the console. And like I said in the first section, I have a huge nostalgia for GameCube and a real big liking for a lot of those games, and I maybe haven't completed them like fully from back in the day like I do with most games. So I think I'm kind of diving back into the GameCube a bit. So on the Switch right now, you can play Mario Sunshine, Metroid Prime, Paper Mario Thousand Year Door, Pikmin 2. I wrote if they would put some Wind Waker on there, that would be amazing and be a day one purchase again for me. And I think that could possibly happen in 2025. I think maybe we can get some Wind Waker. So that's a little bit of a Dep Lewis Show prediction. So we're getting all sorts of Nintendo Switch 2 rumors out there for next year. It seems like the Nintendo Switch 2 is just going to be a beefier Switch. So that is okay with me. It seems like it's going to be backwards compatible. So all your games from the Nintendo Switch are going to be able to move over, it seems like. So a great reason to still be playing your Nintendo Switch, because a lot of the games still run great on there already. So maybe we're going to see, things get cheaper on the Switch when the new Switch 2 comes out, and it's still going to be a great console to buy games for. And I'm interested to see how they're going to handle all the upgrades to Switch 2. Is it going to automatically upgrade your games? Or are you going to have to pay some type of fee, like a $10 thing like they do on Sony? I'm just interested to see how it's going to work. But as far as consoles go, I still love my Nintendo Switch. I think it could be one of my favorite consoles of all time. That's something I'd like to think about at some point, and is maybe better to do like down the road as the years go on. Right, not in the midst of having the console, but I love the Nintendo Switch, and it is the runner-up for my favorite video game console of the year. All right, so what that leaves, what's the winner? What is my favorite video game console of the year? And that one's going to go to my PlayStation 5. So congratulations, PlayStation 5, you're my favorite console of the year. This year I upgraded to the slim version of the console, so I traded in my digital version. I got the slim version, has a slightly bigger hard drive, which is nice. and it's nice to be able to play physical discs. So that was another reason for this upgrade. So I kind of determined this is going to be my main console this year, and I wanted to be able to have all the options for buying games for it. So it's been nice to be able to shop for physical discs. It can play everything from the PS4, or I think it's like 99% of stuff from the PS4. So like I talked about, I picked up Final Fantasy 15 for like $6, and Final Fantasy X and X2 HD Remaster I think was like $14. So I was able to get 2 games for $20, PS4 games, and they're able to play on this PlayStation 5 and have like a little collection of video games going for this console. So who knows if this is going to be the last console generation with a built-in disc drive. Maybe they're always going to sell, a separate, or not always, but maybe they'll sell a separate disc drive for a while. But just nice to have video games so you can put into a console and play them. So the PlayStation 5, I got the slim version. It's been nice having those changes beyond the digital. So I think that's opened up a little bit more of my fandom and liking to this console. They've also done the 30th anniversary. It's the 30th anniversary of PlayStation this year. So they have added all those startups, or they added the startup and the different themes into the console now. So that's been pretty cool too. I have my console running on the PS3 theme, which is one of my favorite PlayStation consoles of all time. So it has some familiar sounds and sights amongst the home screen and the UI in there, which is really, really nice. And a touch that I think a lot of people would hope would continue on after this. They're kind of just touting it as a time-based thing for the 30th anniversary, but I think a lot of people would like this to continue. They've also added, with the PlayStation 5, just generally more customization options. They have a welcome screen now on the main UI, so you can kind of customize that a little bit more. You can put a background you want. You can put you can put how full your hard drive is. It's like a quick look at what's going on with your video gaming, and you can customize it a little more, definitely more than you've been able to ever on the PlayStation 5 UI. So that's been a nice touch too, and an upgrade for PlayStation 5. This is still one of the best feeling controllers ever, I would say. I think it might be the most comfortable, cool controller I've ever felt. And the PlayStation 5 has a lot of great exclusives on it as well. So a lot of great options there that are still really intriguing to me. So I think if I had to play one console, I think it would have to be the PlayStation 5. It would be a tough toss-up if I had to pick between a PlayStation 5 and a Switch, just because the Switch has the handheld and I'm really into that. But the PlayStation 5 has a PlayStation Portal, which I've been interested in picking one up at some point, and just definitely thought about that multiple times. But a lot of great things going on here, and the winner of my favorite console of the year is the PlayStation 5. I think PlayStation 5 will be in the running next year. I think if there's a new Switch coming out, that's going to be in the running. So this could really be the last time that we see the Switch here on the category for the Dep Lewis Show. So, shout out to the Switch getting runner-up for Best Game of the Year, Best Video Game Console of the Year, and shout out to and congratulations to the PlayStation 5 for being a great video game console and my favorite video game console of the year. So that's going to wrap up. That's the third category. And now we're going to get into some games. So what is my favorite video game from a prior year? So this is everything before 2024. Stuff that I played throughout the year. I definitely play a smorgasbord, I guess that's how you say it, of video games, wide variety. I start things, I don't necessarily finish them, start something else, and it's just kind of the way I do. But it's fun to see a lot of different video games, try them out. I would like to complete some more games, but these are my favorite video games from a prior year. So I'd like to start with some first things that are other games that have been considered. So favorite video game from a prior year, some considerations went to Stardew Valley, which released in 2016. I played a whole lot of this. I think this was one of my most played Switch games of the year. But I just, that game is endless almost. Or I've only seen a small fraction. I think I played 40 or 50 hours of this year, which is quite a lot. But something that I would like to play some more of in the future. So I have my farm in this game set up to a pretty good point. I have a good bit of money. I am able to keep my farm rolling and having some cash going in. So I'm doing a positive there. But I haven't hit some of the high highs that you can do in this game. So Stardew Valley was considered. Great video game. I love the soundtrack and definitely want to recommend the soundtrack to anyone. That's something that I listen to at least once a week or, very, very often in my life, the Stardew Valley soundtrack. So that was one game that was considered for favorite video game from a prior year. Another one is The Witcher 3, The Wild Hunt from 2015. This is something I've been playing in the last month or so, a whole lot of. It's my number one played Xbox video game of the year. So something that I played a lot of there. It has cross save progression, so I can play this on PlayStation, I can play this on Switch if I'd like to, and it's a really, really great video game. It's from 2015. I think I said that already, but it's one of the most fun open worlds I've played in a long time, and it's just a fun one to ride around on Roach, do some side stuff, and then the story stuff is actually very good in this game. Geralt is a really cool character. Ciri's a really cool character. The Witcher 4 has been announced that it's in production and in development, so The Witcher 3 is definitely a video game on my list that I'd like to complete at some point, and it's on the short list of my backlog. So, and the Stardew Valley is kind of always on my backlog because it's just that amazing of a video game. So these have been the others that were considered for a favorite video game from a prior year. Maybe Witcher 3, if I can complete it next year, it will be on the list of a favorite video game from a prior year. So it might actually, be a place in this category. But so honorable mention for a favorite video game from a prior year is Astro's Playroom. This game is free for all PS5 users. Team Asobi. It released in 2020 with the launch of the PS5, and it's free for all PS5 users. So it's pre-installed on the PS5, and it is free to download if you have wiped it away, not knowing what it is. And it's a platformer. In this game, you can explore 4 worlds, each one showcasing innovative gameplay using the new and versatile features of the PS5 DualSense wireless controller. So that's kind of what it was touted as, but it really is just an excellent platformer, akin to like Mario Galaxy or something like that. These levels are that innovative and creative and inventive and amazing and colorful and charming and cool and cute and everything you can think of. Team Asobi, had struck magic here and struck gold with Astro's Playroom, and something that I wasn't aware of when I first got my PS5. I think I got my PS5 in 2022, I think. It wasn't immediately. It took me a while to get one because they were hard to find. And I didn't even play it until until this year. So Astro's Playroom, a wonderful video game. And we're going to talk about something else related to that a little bit later. But so that is the honorable mention for favorite video game from a prior year, Astro's Playroom, which released in 2020. So the runner-up to this category, this was a tough decision. I have 2 really, really great games. I think these are 2 of my favorite games ever. And the runner-up is going to be Marvel's Spider-Man 2. So this is developed by Insomniac Games, one of my favorite developers of all time. Developers of Ratchet & Clank, which is one of my favorite games from a prior year, last year. This game, Marvel's Spider-Man 2, released in October 2023 of last year. Spider-Man, Peter Parker, and Miles Morales return for an exciting new adventure, or Spider-Man, yes, Peter Parker and Miles Morales return for an exciting new adventure in the critically acclaimed Marvel Spider-Man franchise for PS5. So I'm a huge fan of this franchise on PS5. I love Spider-Man 1, I love Miles Morales, and then Spider-Man 2 brings those both together, and I think is the ultimate climax, or whatever, not cultivation or culmination of these games. It's just an amazing game. It has everything you can hope for. The combat's fun, the story's cool, the web swinging is fun, the open world stuff is cool, the side characters are fun. The game looks visually amazing, it's impressive, and it has a good charm to it. It's cool, it has cool music. It's just a really amazing video game. This year, this was high on my Game of the Year list last year, and I think possibly could have been the number 1 game if I would have completed it. But it was something I completed early this year in 2024, and I just an amazing video game. I had a wonderful time playing through any of those Spider-Man games. I highly recommend them, and I think I would recommend you play all of them. And I would say, hey, if you want to get a cheap game, get the first one. They're all really, really worthwhile. And if you want to build up to playing Marvel Spider-Man 2, you can. Or if you want to play Marvel Spider-Man 2 first, you can as well. But they're just amazing video games. I highly recommend them any day, anytime, day or night. And Marvel Spider-Man 2 is runner-up from my favorite video game from a prior year. All right, so that was kind of a tough one because that could have easily won this category. But the winner is going to be something that I am most proud of to complete, that I have bragged about on this podcast since completing it probably too much, and that is Final Fantasy VII Remake. And that is the winner of my favorite video game from a prior year. This is developed and published by Square Enix. It released in April of 2020. It is a modern reimagining of one of the most iconic games of all time, Final Fantasy VII. The remake harnesses the very latest technology to recreate and expand Square Enix's legendary RPG adventure for the current generation. Final Fantasy VII first released in 1997. I've always had a semi-fascination with the Final Fantasy series. I've never completed one of the games. I played some of 12 back in the day. I played some 15. I just said I picked up 15 and 10. I've played some of 7 original now since purchasing Remake, but this is just a awesome video game, and I enjoy everything around Final Fantasy VII. It seems and it's been kind of a hidden gem for me, and something that I'm thankful that I played. And I finally finished this game this year, Final Fantasy VII Remake. It's my first, I guess, Japanese RPG that I've completed. I think it's one of my first RPGs I've ever completed, unless you count things like Skyrim and Oblivion. So I was proud of myself for completing this, and I enjoyed the heck out of this game. I love the characters, Cloud, Tifa, Aerith, Barrett, and many more. The enemies are really, really cool. Roche is a great one. Sephiroth is awesome. And just the story is highfalutin and a little bit confusing, but it's all just really interesting to watch. The game has amazing music, some of the best music I've ever heard, just in general in life. It's really, really amazing music in this video game. And the story in this one's cool. I think it was the year of the RPG on the Dep Lewis Show, so I was really looking into RPGs, and I think the thing that helped me complete this one is it wasn't complete traditional turn-based combat. This one has more fluid kind of combat mechanics, and you can also do auto battle in there. I've learned that that's kind of a thing in RPGs, so that's something that helped me in this video game. You could kind of sit back and do the commands, and Cloud would attack a little bit, on his own, and then you kind of sit back and a little assess things that are going on, and then shoot off some spells or whatever. So it was a good mix of active and passive combat, and I think it's a really unique thing to this game, as I can tell, and it's really fun to do. So I definitely enjoyed all the story stuff in here. I really love when the cutscenes come across. I love the more linear sections of going through. There's a really minimal puzzly stuff, which is something I appreciate since I don't love puzzles that much. But just having great characters, a great story, cool setting, cool things to look at, and just fun gameplay, like in the combat, make this game the best video game from a prior year to me, Final Fantasy VII Remake. And this is the first of a trilogy, and something else we might talk about more in the next category. But Final Fantasy VII Remake is my favorite video game from a prior year, something I am proud to complete, something I would maybe play again in the future. I've even thought about that. I would maybe go back and play some more of this game, and maybe that'll be something I do as I get older into my video gaming life, go back and replay stuff more. Maybe my habits will change a little bit over time, and who knows? Because that's something I've been thinking about recently is going back to this game even. And it's my favorite video game from a prior year, Final Fantasy VII Remake. So maybe we'll talk some more about Final Fantasy VII in the next category. You never know. All right, so that was my favorite video game from a prior year. So some considerations went out to Stardew Valley and The Witcher 3 Wild Hunt. An honorable mention was Astro's Playroom. Runner-up was Marvel's Spider-Man 2. And the winner of favorite video game from a prior year was Final Fantasy VII Remake. All right, everybody. This is the main event. The top category for the year on the Dep Lewis Show Awards. What is my favorite video game of the year? So, we've been talking about video games all year. You probably have a general sense, if you're a Dep Lewis Show listener, of what I'm going to pick. But this is the ultimate summary. This is where I put, pen to paper and put it in the record books of what is going to be my favorite video game of the year. So the first thing I want to say is there were some games that were considered. They didn't quite, get a mention in here or get a placement. But other video games that were considered that I want you to know about that I think are really cool are Super Mario Party Jamboree. So this is something I think I've only played once or twice this year, but I had a great time. I think this is a great game to play with friends in person or online. You can play up to 4 people online, so if you have more than one person at a house, maybe you can just be a team or something like that, but just a really enjoyable experience. I think just only playing it a handful of times, but having a lot of fun with it, make it stick out of my mind, and something that released this year I think it is the best. I think people talk about this one or one other game on the Switch that's the best, and one other Mario Party on the Switch that's the best one, so I think it's a pretty strong argument for Jamboree. It was just an enjoyable, fun video game, so something I don't have the opportunity to play a lot, just because it's harder to get people together and people are busy, and including myself, to be playing multiplayer video games, but it's an amazing one to have in the arsenal. Super Mario Party Jamboree, something that was considered for favorite video game of the year. Another one that I played was Persona 3 Reload. This is a game originally from 2006. They released the Reload version this year, which a lot of people are touting as the best version of this game. I played this through Game Pass earlier in the year. I believe there's a demo for this. I think that's what got me originally. I'm not sure about that, but I was able to play this on Game Pass. I've had kind of two bouts with this game on Game Pass, being a current subscriber right now. This one's more of I want to say this one has more traditional combat compared to Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, where it's more turn-based, but the combat in this game is fun. It also has some open world combat stuff you do, which is fun, which you're kind of adventuring around with your sword and whacking stuff in the open world. The characters in this are cool. The style in this is cool. The music in this game is amazing. Persona always has really amazing music, and just something that I could see winning, favorite video game from a prior year category in the future. Just something that, I haven't played enough of it for it to be a winner in any way, but something that I enjoyed, all my time playing this year. So Persona 3 Reload, a really, really cool video game. All right, the last one I want to highlight that was just something that was considered, something that I thought was really cool from this year. Maybe I haven't played enough of it, and that is the Castlevania Dominus Collection. So that one is including games from the DS, Dawn of Sorrow from 2005, Portrait of Ruin from 2006, and Order of Ecclesia from 2008. So, not a full price package, which is nice, but you get 3 video games in there. And I actually think there's another video game in there as well, something like an additional, not like a demo type thing, but something that's never been released or hasn't been released in a long time. So a really cool package of video games, the Castlevania Dominus Collection. So I played Dawn of Sorrow this year some, maybe 5 to 10 hours of it, and really, really enjoy it. It's kind of I like Vampire Survivors and Dead Cells, and then going back to this is kind of I think this is my first Castlevania game I've played. It makes me realize I need to play Castlevania, because that's where a lot of these series are drawing from. Now they're drawing from Dracula, but I think Castlevania has been the one to do this over time the most, and maybe some of the best. So the Castlevania Dominus Collection is something I want to highlight from this year. I think it's a really cool package of video games. I guess my others considered are Super Mario Party Jamboree, Persona 3 Reload, which is a remaster, and then the Castlevania Dominus Collection, which is a remaster as well. So one of the fun things about doing a podcast and ranking things is it helps you suss out your own taste in video games, and this is valuable information that hopefully I can use going into next year for what I like and what I taste, and I can spend my money appropriately. So those were other video games considered for favorite video game of the year for 2024, and now we have 3 to talk about. So we have an honorable mention, a runner-up, and a winner. So the honorable mention is going to go to the big brother of a game we were talking about in the last section, and that's Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. So this game released in February 29th, 2024, the second entry in the Final Fantasy VII Remake project, which retells the story of the genre-redefining RPG across 3 distinct games. So this one, I want to give it an honorable mention because I enjoyed all my time with it so far. Maybe 15, 20 hours into this game, maybe a little bit further. I am enjoying some of the open world stuff in this game. I think that's been kind of a difference so far that I've seen. I like having Red 13. He's a new addition. You can roll around the open world with 5 characters now, which is nice. I think 2 of them are kind of in tow like normal, but then the other 2 are kind of on deck for once you get into battle. So that's been a nice change as well. The game looks really extra beautiful on the PlayStation 5. I think it looks even slightly a little bit better on the PlayStation 5 Pro, and I think it comes to PC early next year, which is going to be nice. But it's a very beautiful video game. The models and characters look really, really cool, and it's just all the stuff I love from Remake. I'm going into Rebirth. It seems like a little bit bigger. One of the things, I do like more of the linear nature of the first game so far, so I've been enjoying some of the open world stuff, but that's been a little bit of a difference. So I think it's been kind of blending it well, but I think there could be a little bit less of the open world, but maybe be nice. But some of that stuff is seeming a little bit optional. It still has the great combat from the first game, and this is something that I hope I could see winning, favorite game from a prior year in the future. So just haven't played enough of it for it to win this category, but it's been something that I really, really love this video game. It's one of my favorite video games of the year. You can see I just finished Remake this year, and that's a game from 2020. So I don't think I can rush myself on these, or I don't think I will physically rush myself, but something that I could see myself playing more of for sure. So this is one of the main reasons. This will be the top game I have right now of things like coolest, newest video game that I have that I want to play. It's probably Final Fantasy VII Rebirth right now, and that is why it gets an honorable mention for favorite video game of the year on the Dep Lewis Show Awards for 2024, the 3rd annual Dep Lewis Show Awards. All right, so now the runner-up for favorite video game of the year goes to a game called Balatro. Balatro, the amazing game. I've actually purchased this on 2 consoles this year, on Switch and PlayStation. It's on other platforms as well. It's on mobile. This released back in February, so February was a great month for video games. February 20th, 2024. The developer is Local Thunk, an anonymous solo developer based in Canada. He did not even show up to the Jeff Keighley Game Awards when he won some categories. He had the publisher accept the awards on his behalf. He is trying to, maybe he was there and just didn't want to be known, but he is trying to retain his anonymity. He would like to remain anonymous, which is an interesting take in today's world. This is the poker-inspired roguelike deck builder, all about creating powerful synergies and winning big. It's a wonderful Switch game. It has low-file style of graphics that's really, really cool, and the music goes together perfectly. The music in this game is very, very catchy and amazing. The roguelike aspects of this game are fun. This is like Vampire Survivors to me from 2022 on that same level, and this is a classic video game. So, Balatro, I highly recommend to anyone who likes video games and likes cards in any way. I think this is the perfect game to have in your collection at any time. This is a great one to pick up at any time, any day, and just play this game. It's just extremely fun. All the card stuff, all watching the counters go up, all the jokers throwing crazy things into the mix is extremely fun. There's different decks to play, different styles, all sorts of different stuff to complete this game. It could take 300 hours, I think I've seen some people talk about, to complete everything in this game. And Balatro is a wonderful, amazing video game. So I've gone through different streaks of this game this year. It's something I can see myself playing in the future. And it's just a really amazing video game. It being an indie game as well is really, really cool. Definitely seen a lot of success. And, shout out to Local Thunk. Very, very cool. Created an amazing product. And Balatro is definitely one of the best video games of the year. And it is the runner-up for the best video game of the year for the Dep Lewis Show for 2024. All right, so that leaves one more thing to tell you. I just want to tell you what the best video game of the year is for the Dep Lewis Show. And that game is Astrobot. On the developer team Asobi, this game released September 6, 2024, the PS5 mothership has been wrecked, leaving Astro and the bot crew scattered all over the galaxies. Time to ride your trusty dual speeder across more than 50 planets full of fun, danger, and surprises. On your journey, make the most of Astro's new powers and reunite with many iconic heroes from the PlayStation universe. So just a wonderful video game through and through. I talked about Astro's Playroom. I played that earlier in the year after the announcement of Astrobot, being like, this is something I've been missing that I would be in love with as a video game, and that is the truth. Every second I played Astrobot was amazing. The levels are amazing. Super Mario Galaxy is one of my favorite video games of all time, and this game is doing a lot of the same things there, and expanding on it and making it modern. The graphics in this game look amazing. The physics and stuff going around are amazing. All the power-ups that Astro can do are so cool, like his frog hands. He turns into a dog that can ram things. He can get really small. There's a million different things they have you do that seem tech demo-y, but have whole levels based around. And it just keeps coming one after another with cool stuff in this game and through the entire thing. Some of the stuff early on is more exploratory than difficult. Just fun to see, fun to do, fun to control. But there are some more difficult levels in this game that are really something I haven't pushed my head at in a long time. Some of the they have different levels based on the buttons of the PlayStation controller. So like there'll be X levels, square levels, things like that, triangle levels and circle levels. And there are some of the more short levels, but they're difficult platforming challenges. So, sitting there playing them, 30, 40 times in a row to try to complete them, really throwing my hands up in the air after completing some of these in like real life. So making me have some real life reactions to my body, which is just really special and a really special video game. I talked about video games being charming, and this one is charming. It's great for people of all ages. It's great for platforming in general, platforming games. It's hopefully some type of a revival for platforming games. Not that there aren't many of them to play out there, but they're just not as common nowadays. This is a fully AAA, amazing platforming game. A new mascot character for PlayStation, an Astrobot. It also has all the PlayStation history throughout this game, which is really, really cool too. So it's giving people glimpses of other characters like the Mosquito. Dan Riker kept talking about the Mosquito a lot being in this game. But just all characters from the past. They showed Amaterasu from Okami, and then we get the Okami reveal, months later. The Okami 2 reveal months later. Just great history. Ape Escape, Horizon was one of the cooler sections in this game. All sorts of really, really amazing stuff, and trips down memory lane while also being a new, modern, amazing video game. So I think they mashed the old world up with a new world perfectly, and just an amazing, awesome video game. I think just when I think of video games, this is this is the one I think of. This is kind of what I want in a video game, something you boot up and you really can't put down. I don't really have anything bad to say about it. And I will play Astrobot 2 whenever that comes out on day one. And that's, up to the top of my list if that's what Team Asobi is creating. If they're creating Astrobot 2, I am fully on board and I cannot wait. But this is something I could see myself going back to play some more. I haven't collected all the bots in the game. I've completed all the levels. Maybe there's some hidden levels in there I haven't found, but I've completed kind of all the main stuff in this game. The ending sequence for this game is amazing. The ending cutscene where you're jumping over stuff and the memory cards. Just every touch in this game is creative and thoughtful and cool and amazing. And there doesn't really go 1 second in this game where something special isn't happening. And that is why Astrobot is worthy of the best video game of the year for 2024 for the Dep Lewis Show. An amazing video game. I got excited for this when it got announced over the summer, and it lived up to the hype and more. So, congratulations to Astrobot, best video game of the year. All I can really say is you should play it. If you have a PlayStation, you should play it. And I guess this game is probably going to come to PC at some point because that's how the world works these days. And, shout out to PlayStation 5, shout out to Astrobot, shout out to Team Asobi, and congratulations to me for getting to play the best video game of the year, Astrobot. So that's it, everybody. That's my favorite video game of the year. So some that were considered were Super Mario Party Jamboree, Persona 3 Reload, the Castlevania Dominus Collection. Honorable mention went to Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. Runner-up was Balatro, and winner of the best video game of the year for 2024 was Astrobot. So congratulations, Astrobot, and congratulations to all the video games of the world. You are a great form of entertainment. So just the last things I want to wrap up this midsection of the Dep Lewis Show Awards here. This midsection that includes the Dep Lewis Show Awards, I want to talk about my prior video games of the year so far. So far for the Dep Lewis Show, 2022 has been Splatoon 3. 2023 was The Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom. And I thought about this. Would I rewrite history if I could? And I think I would. I think for 2022, Splatoon 3 would still be number one. I think I would put Vampire Survivors 2, Kirby and the Forgotten Land 3, Elden Ring, and then Stanley Parable Ultra Deluxe. I think that kind of would have been the list. So there was more on the list, but I think looking back, I think these are the games that really stand out to me still and that I played a lot of, and I think would be the correct ordering. So, doing a little bit of a history rewrite here, which is kind of fun. And then for 2023, I think I would rewrite, and I think I would maybe rewrite the number one game. So I think The Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom was a worthy winner. I think it was the game I played the most of that year. I think I played over 75 hours of it. I just really didn't make too much progress in it. And something I would like to go back to in the future, but it's just a giant video game. And I think just my normal style at this point in life is it's going to be tough for me to get through one of these giant video games consistently. So it's going to be more of a rare thing and something that I should just kind of expect more. But I think for 2023, if I would rewrite my game of the year, I would give it to Marvel's Spider-Man 2. Something that was in the mix there for best game from a prior year. Something I had, a whole lot of fun with. I think just it coming out in October, I didn't really play, as much of it. I think I played the majority of it early in the next year or so. But I think looking back, if I had to rank these again, I would put it as the best video game of 2023. I think Forza Motorsport would get number 2. I think Super Mario Bros. Wonder would get number 3. I think The Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom would be 4 right now where I stand, and Super Mario RPG would be 5. And I left a couple other off that list, but I think these are the ones that stand out to me still. If I had to rewrite history, those would be the best video games of the year. So, but either way, Splatoon 3 was the winner from 2022, Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom from 2023, and now Astrobot from 2024, the 3 best video games of the year for the Dep Lewis Show over the 3-year history so far. So, just thank you for listening to this award show, this award section. Thank you to video games. I am grateful for this form of entertainment. It's amazing to talk about it weekly and have people listen. And thank you to all the video game creators, the developers, the publishers, the sellers, anyone involved with video games creation or sale of the video games. Just thank you to you. You create some amazing products. I know the video game world and the development world can be very tumultuous. We've seen a lot of layoffs. A lot of people like to also talk about, modern gaming isn't as good as old gaming. Where are the games? A lot of games haven't been released, exclusively for these new consoles, but there are countless amazing video games being created all the time. There are many, many great video games I haven't even talked about that I haven't even played. There are many games I've played this year that I could maybe include on these lists that I just haven't played enough of and stuff I want to get to in the future. But the video game world is strong. There's so much creativity and fun, smart people willing to do all this work, people willing to go out on the limb, people willing to put their money up for these video games. There's amazing stuff going on. They're not all going to be victories, but there is some amazing stuff out here. So just thank you to all video games. This is going to wrap up the Dep Lewis Show Awards for 2024. Also going to wrap up the midsection of the show, and we're going to come back for the Miscellaneous Talk section as we always do. So, thank you for listening to the Dep Lewis Show Awards for 2024, and I look forward to doing this again next year. It's one of my favorite things to do each year, something I work towards all year, and it's fun to put on and fun to tell you about, and just thank you for listening. So listen to this music and come back for the final section, the Miscellaneous Talk section of Dep Lewis Show, episode 109, after this. Welcome back to the final section of Dep Lewis Show, episode 109. This is the Miscellaneous Talk section, where I can talk about anything I want to outside the video game world. So I want to get into the worldwide world of sports, as I normally like to do, and tell you about what's going on with my favorite team. So the Carolina Panthers, the best team in the NFL. They got a win last week, and I was in the building for this. I was out there freezing my you-know-what off. But the Panthers decided, hey, you were freezing so much, we're going to win this game in overtime, 36-30 against the Arizona Cardinals. It was so cold out there. I thought about leaving a few times. I also thought about leaving at the beginning of overtime. The Cardinals kicked a 58-yard field goal to tie the game after the Panthers had a pretty good lead that slipped away. Kyler Murray just got him down the field, and I'm glad I didn't leave. It was one of the best football games I've ever seen. Panthers aren't really fighting for too much this season besides pride and just putting some good film on tape, and they've done that. So go Bryce and go Chuba. Kyler Murray was tough. He was fun to watch. Marvin Harrison Jr. was too. James Conner was playing otherworldly, and he got injured during the game, which was, sad just in general, because you don't want to see someone get hurt. But he was really, really balling out for them super hard, and he was a standout on the field for sure. So being able to go to some games recently in the last couple of years, it's really been fun to see these people on the field. It really does make a difference seeing them in person, and there's a few guys in general that stand out on the field out there, and it's really, really cool to watch, and you can see it a little bit more in person. And James Conner, you can see why he's a special player. And him leaving hurt was definitely a factor in this game. The Panthers are now 4-11, 3-6 at home. Bryce in this game was 17 for 26, 158 yards, 2 tuds, and 3 sacks for 9 yards. Chuba had 25 carries, 152 yards, 2 tuds, along at 28. Bryce also had 5 rushes for 68 yards and a rushing touchdown. Adam Thielen with the receiving touchdown, David Moore 2. Jacoby Wyndham, number 41, led the team in tackles with 8. He had a sack. Ashawn Robinson and DJ Wonnum both had a sack, so getting to the QB. Today, the Panthers are playing the Bucs at 1 o'clock, so just in a couple hours in Tampa, and then they close out the season at the Falcons. So some of the Panthers news this week is that Chuba is being placed on IR. He was saying his knee, I believe it is, was hurting after the game. So it seems, hopefully to me, like something not very, or they did an MRI and it revealed some damage. So I'm kind of hoping this is something more precautionary than something that really was hurting him a whole lot. I don't think shutting Chuba down for these last 2 games is going to hurt the team. I think, maybe we'll see some other guys get shut down. I don't want to see any guys get hurt. I think the Panthers have enough to build on for next year, and maybe want to give some really, not that the Panthers have everything figured out, but give some really fringe guys the opportunity to see what they got. People that you really do have to make a decision on ultimately before next season, just based on the roster construction and money and stuff like that, and really see what you got from some other guys. I think the Panthers have come to do what they need to do this season, besides just having a winning team. I think they did some positive things this year, and I'm really excited about Bryce. I'm excited about Chuba. I'm excited for the receivers to keep growing. Maybe Thielen will stick around, which would be nice. I'm excited for J.C. Horn. Clowney turned out to be great. I hope Derek Brown gets back. Josie Jewell's been balling. We've been having Mike Jackson even has grown on me. He's been playing good and being feisty out there and fun to watch. So there's some good stuff going on with the Panthers, and it's been more fun. This season's been more fun to watch than last, and it's nice to see Bryce balling, and I hope that will continue. And then T's and P's to Chuba. Hopefully he can get healthy and be ready to roll for next season. So, go Panthers. They play the Bucs today, and then next week the Falcons to close out the season. So, go Panthers. All right, into some NBA. The Charlotte Hornets have been on a losing streak. On Monday, they lost to Houston, 101-114. Thursday, they lost to the Wizards, 110-113. And Saturday, they lost to OKC, 94-106. And that one was at home. So the Hornets have been on a big losing streak. I don't think LaMelo or Brandon Miller was playing in that game yesterday. And they are kind of one of the worst teams in the league. And they've been on a mad losing streak. Doesn't seem to be anything picking up. And, maybe they should change the roster up. So maybe they should, I don't know. They got LaMelo and Brandon Miller, and maybe everyone else should kind of be on the table. But I don't know about the Hornets. Not doing too good right now. Next week they play the Bulls, the Pistons, and the Cavs. And the Cavs have been on fire. And the Bulls have even been kind of scrappy themselves. But my favorite NBA team, the Atlanta Hawks, on Monday, the Hawks have been on the opposite end. They've been streaking. They beat the Minnesota T-Wolves on Monday, 117-104. So the T-Wolves have been struggling a little bit. Really been hurting from that Cat Julius Randle trade. The Hawks beat the Bulls on Thursday, 141-133. The Hawks beat Miami on Saturday, yesterday, 120-110. And today the Hawks actually play at Toronto. So some Hawks for a Sunday, which is nice. You can watch the Panthers at 1 and watch the Hawks tonight. Or whenever that game may be. It might be the afternoon, I guess. And then next week the Hawks have Denver, Lakers, and the Clippers. All right, so that's all my NBA news, really. The Atlanta Braves, for some MLB news. Atlanta Braves are my favorite team. They're in the offseason. Nothing to report on the Braves. They haven't had any significant signings or offseason activities. And the next thing to look forward to there is their first game against the Padres in 2025 on March 27th. But other MLB news, there's been a lot of free agency stuff going on. The Nationals have landed first baseman Nathaniel Lowe in a trade with the Rangers. So Lowe, who's been there for a while and been pretty productive, gets traded to the Nationals. Teoscar Hernandez signs back with the Dodgers on a 3-year, $66 million contract. So congrats to the Dodgers on re-signing Teoscar. He's an amazing player. Infielder Gleyber Torres goes to the Detroit Tigers on a 1-year, $15 million contract. So a nice bag for him and a little bit of a prove-it thing there, I guess. Andrew McCutchen is back with the Pirates, which is nice to see, and hopefully the Pirates can keep some of that mojo going, especially with Mr. Paul Skeens over there holding it down. Walker Buehler goes to the Red Sox on a 1-year, $21 million contract, so maybe another little bit of a prove-it thing, taking a big bag for 1 year, and I think the Red Sox have done some things to improve themselves this year. And then the Texas Rangers signed Jock Peterson, former Atlanta Brave, to 2 years, $37 million contract, and I think they can opt out after 1 year, but Jock Peterson getting some good money. He's a great clubhouse guy. He swings a great bat, and Jock Peterson is a great addition to a baseball team. So that's been all the main MLB news going on, and there should be some more of it to come, and hopefully some good news for the Braves, but I'm not really too optimistic. I guess I want their current team to be out there and be healthy and see what's going to happen with Charlie Morton. Charlie Morton's one thing, but all right, so that's going to wrap up all the miscellaneous talk I have for you, all my sports talk for today. I'm excited for the Panthers is the main thing. So we talked about the Panthers, the Hornets, the Hawks, the Braves, and we talked about MLB news in general. And that's actually going to wrap up the entire miscellaneous talk section and going to wrap up the entire show today. So I want to reiterate some promotional talk from the beginning. Follow Dep Lewis Show everywhere. Full episodes of Dep Lewis Show available anywhere you can find a podcast. To find the best place to subscribe and listen weekly. Places like Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google, YouTube, Amazon Music, and more. Twitch.tv/Dep Lewis Show is a great place to follow. If you'd like to support the show even further than just listening, Patreon.com/Dep Lewis Show is available. If you'd like to subscribe monthly, and then also Venmo at Dep Lewis Show is available any day, anytime, for any amount if you'd like to support the show. And I just want to thank you. Thank you to anyone. This is the final episode of the year for 2024. We did the Dep Lewis Show Awards today for 2024, the third annual Dep Lewis Show Awards. Thank you to anyone who's listened to the Dep Lewis Show this year. This is one of my favorite things to do each week, and I'm excited for a great 2025. I kind of wrote here, I plan to play fewer games next year, but plan for the podcast to be better than ever. So I think that's something I've learned just from looking at my past Game of the Year list. There's really only a couple games each year that I'm really, really love and complete and have a great time with. So I would definitely want to continue to highlight those, but I want to play more, fewer games kind of as a plan. And other plans, are in the mix. So hope the podcast can be better than ever all year in 2025. I'm going to really try to be focusing on news, releases, sales, rumors, speculation, reviews, hardware, software, etc., etc. So mainly anything you get in the midsection. I think that's been the direction that my podcast has been going for a while. A little bit less on my personal, what's going on with me, but a little more on, me passing on news and knowledge going on around the video game world. So keeping you up to date. And that's kind of been the thing I enjoy doing. It's something I kind of do naturally already. And it's something that's fun to come here and talk about each week. So, just thank you for being a listener. Happy New Year to you out there in the world. And I hope 2025 is going to be good for you. Hope some good things are going to happen to you. And I hope you have some hope out there. That's kind of what it is. So, thank you for being a Dep Lewis Show listener. Thank you for listening to the Dep Lewis Show Awards. I'm going to be working all next year, podcasting it and ready to present a good Dep Lewis Show Awards for 2025. So that's the plan. We're going to definitely pick the best video game of the year, the best video game from a prior year, And the other categories are, up for grabs and up to be created. So, just thank you for being a listener. I think I've said thank you a million times, but I really, really mean it. And, I'll be back next week in the new year for the first episode of the year, for episode 110 for the Dep Lewis Show. And I will see you then. Have a great week and Happy New Year.